My God. Look at you. Where's your hat and your gloves?
Well, I have a hat. Just makes my head itch. And I have no gloves.
She has no gloves.
Hey all, and welcome to my channel. My name is Erin, and today we're going to be talking about the recently released Netflix movie Enola Holmes and the romantic subplot within it. Obviously this is a little different than my usual content, but I'm having a good time, so we all just need to roll with it. There will be spoilers ahead, so if you're not into that, go ahead and check out the movie first and come back, or keep watching. I will try to avoid general spoilers for the movie as a whole and focus exclusively on the romantic subplot. If you're not already familiar, Enola Holmes is based on a book series by Nancy Springer, and it stars the younger sister of the famous Sherlock Holmes. Now, the romance is not a main focus in Enola Holmes, but it is there, and it is perfect. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring that bell so you always get notified when a new video appears. We spend the first 20 minutes or so getting comfortable with Enola and her circumstance. Her mother has disappeared, forcing her into the wardship of her eldest brother Mycroft, who honestly can't be bothered with raising a wild child and immediately plans to send her to boarding school. This is what prompts her to run and what first brings her into contact with the love interest.
Who are you?
What are you?
I'm Viscount Tewkesbury, the Marquis of Basilweather.
At first glance, he's not particularly skilled, and to Enola, he seems like he has far more money than sense, and she isn't the least bit impressed by Tewkesbury's titles or wealth. Their introduction is when he falls out of a bag on the train and they discover that there's a murderer following them. I won't spoil who's trying to kill him or why, but I will say that this does spur Enola to keep in contact with him and make sure that he's still alive. Her presence on the train also drags her into the same murder plot, as the pursuer believes her to be acquainted with the Viscount.
You'll be fine. He's coming!
At this point, we already know that Enola is vivacious, brilliant, and fun, but here, where the helpless Tewkesbury needs her, we also find out that she's exceedingly brave and kind even when she doesn't particularly want to be. If Enola hadn't turned back and had left him to the assassin, she wouldn't have been a very likable character.
Who was that? He was trying to kill me! I'm not ready to die on a train.
I'm not ready to die at all, and I wasn't going to before I met you.
Fleeing the assassin is their first real bonding moment. Not only does it give them a shared experience, but it also separates them from everyone else and gives them the opportunity to spend time one-on-one. For Tewkesbury to be a viable option, he has to impress her. And the way that he does it is perfect, showing a combination of intelligence and practical application that improves both of their situations.
We should think about sleeping soon.
We should think about eating soon.
We have nothing to eat.
Of course we do. Arctium lapa, which you'll know as burdock. Trifolium, clover. And is that... Yes, I knew it! Mushrooms! Agaricus lanapes.
Look at this face right here. She's absolutely impressed by his ability to identify plants and to provide them with a meal. He's breaking down her initial opinion of him by alleviating some of the burden she feels to keep him alive. Their overnight provides the next major bonding opportunity. They're alone at night and having a conversation around the fire. This further points out their shared experiences. Both have lost their fathers, both are on the run from their families, both are dissatisfied with the path that life has presented to them.
Who taught you about flowers and herbs?
My father.
I never really knew my father.
My father's dead too.
Up to this point, Tewkesbury has appreciated Enola, but it's in this conversation that I think he starts to develop some feelings.
A tree branch broke above me while I was collecting wild mushrooms. It should have crushed me, but I managed to roll out of the way, and I realized...
What?
You'll laugh at me.
I won't.
My life seemed to flash before me. I realized I was scared. Scared I would hate every second of the rest of my life.
Why would I laugh at that?
Don't I sound pathetic?
No.
He's worried that she'll find him pathetic, and when she answers immediately with a no, she doesn't. It sets up their relationship to be one in which they can be comfortable together. He doesn't think poorly of Enola being raised unlike other girls at the time, or that she travels dressed as a boy, or that she's educated in innumerable things that most people aren't. And she doesn't think less of him for wanting more meaning out of his life despite his privilege. At this point, Enola's primary objective is finding her mother, and that is still the most important. She enjoys Tewkesbury as a companion, they travel together amicably, but when they arrive in London, she has to get down to business. He doesn't want to separate, but he doesn't want to push Enola to keep him around, which shows that he's respectful of what she wants even when it blatantly conflicts with his own desires.
Oh, so this is where we part?
It is.
Then thank you, Enola Holmes, for helping me here.
When Enola is attacked by the assassin, she comes to the conclusion that Tewkesbury needs to take priority over her mission to find her mother. Enola, with all of her training and skills, nearly dies, and she knows that there's no way Tewkesbury will survive if the assassin finds him. This decision takes Enola to the Tewkesbury estate, which is where I think she catches feelings in a more concrete way. She finds his treehouse, which is where she learns that he is brilliant, passionate, and creative.
And you're a cleverer boy than I perhaps give you credit for.
And learning what she needs at the estate, she heads back to London, where she gets to experience Tewkesbury in his element among the flowers at the Covent Garden Market. This is where Enola proves herself to him that she cannot be bought and genuinely wants to help him. There's a significant reward being offered for his return of £50, which translate in the modern day to about 6,500 British pounds, 8,300 USD, or 11,000 Canadian.
I've come here because I've grown to like you more in your absence, and because, as it turns out, your life is still in danger.
What's made you like me more?
Really? That is your question, not who is trying to kill me.
Safe in the knowledge that Enola won't turn him in, it lets them fall back into the ease of their relationship where they laugh and tease one another.
I don't give a fig about flowers, of course.
That's because you're ignorant.
Ignorant? How dare you?
Ignorant and willfully so.
You could change your mind about a boy.
I'm not a boy. I'm a man.
You're a man when I tell you you're a man.
Once we see where Enola is boarding, it becomes even clearer to Tewkesbury that the reward would have been very useful to her.
Well, the woman I boarded off assured me this was a fine room.
The woman you boarded off lied.
This is a unique situation because Enola and Tewkesbury are intending to board together, which was probably not even allowed at this establishment or in that time period. It's possible that Enola, given her upbringing, may not have realized the implications, but Tewkesbury is probably well aware. They're intending to share intimate quarters, and even though there's no romantic motive, since she only wants to make sure that he's safe, it sets up an interesting dynamic in the circumstance. Tewkesbury also has a place that he's staying, but Enola is bringing him into her personal space, and I think it shows her growing comfort with having him around, even as she complains about it. In their initial moments of lodging, Tewkesbury learns something new about Enola. In other stories, if someone said they were scouring newspapers waiting for someone to leave them a secret message, we might be a little bit worried about their mental state, but Tewkesbury immediately accepts this and uses the chance to learn more about Enola and her mother. It's a huge moment of vulnerability between them because he can tell the desperation in her, the need to know that her mother is still thinking of her, and it gives us this heartbreaking line that speaks to their shared experience of loss.
People don't seem to want us, do they?
No.
And then we have Tewkesbury reaching out across the chasm of pain, wanting to connect with her. Of course, Enola isn't prepared for that level of emotion and promptly flings herself away from the conversation.
I'll make us some tea.
We're immediately thrown into another impossible situation, but this time they can't both run.
I need you to climb out and take off into nowhere.
And leave you.
I need to hold this door.
But you need to get away too.
If he catches you, your life will be in danger. If he catches me, it's simply a life I do not want.
And Enola makes the decision to give up her freedom and forces Tewkesbury to leave against his will. He would have risked his life and stayed with her if she hadn't made him go. And here we see Enola locked away at finishing school after being apprehended by the inspector and turned over to her brother Mycroft, who took all of her money and delivered her to Miss Harrison. Tewkesbury doesn't take Enola's sacrifice lightly and sets out to find her as soon as possible. When the secret package arrives, the porters tell her it's from Ferndale Hall, where Enola grew up, and that it's from her eldest brother Mycroft. Though we don't see it on screen, I suspect that Tewkesbury actually went to Enola's house, like Enola does with the Tewkesbury estate, and was given help by the housekeeper to get her out of the school.
Tewkesbury!
Whoa. You're supposed to be helping me out, not getting in with me.
Look at this excitement when they're reunited. Not only is he still alive, which was her goal, but he's also come to rescue her. And look at that expression. Enola has the feelings, and last time it was her that turned away from the intimacy, but this time it's him, when she's potentially leaning in for a kiss. Now they're freed, but here is where Enola has to make a decision. They've been running, and she's tired of it.
We need to go to Basilweather.
What?
Going to the Tewkesbury estate puts them in their final life and death experience of the movie, facing off against the assassin.
Run!
Unfortunately, they are not remotely prepared for this, but lucky for both of them, they're quite good at thinking on their feet, and they're both willing to fight tooth and nail, and to fight for each other. Now, it's a romance, so we know that no one's going to die because I would not have loved it if that was the case. But just look at this tenderness, the emotion, the relief. It's over and it can all just flood out. Our last occasion to see Enola and Tewkesbury together is after the assassin has been dealt with and Tewkesbury has been returned to his family and has been inducted into the House of Lords. Enola has taken up her life of freedom, still evading her brothers, and they are both where they're meant to be at this time.
I'm not supposed to bow or anything, am I? Now you are whatever you are?
Well, arguably, you always had to bow. You just chose not to. Mother has said that there's always room for you with us.
Your mother clearly hasn't spent enough time with me.
And what if it was I that asked you to stay?
She's struck speechless for a moment, but Enola is nothing if not determined, and it wouldn't fit her character to abandon her goals and dreams simply because a veritably perfect partner asked her to come and live with him on his country estate. When Tewkesbury asks Enola to come and live with him, it's basically a 19th century marriage proposal. But Enola is only 16, and her primary objective from the beginning of the movie, finding her mother, has returned to being a top priority now that Tewkesbury is safe. She's not saying no forever, though. She doesn't want him to think her refusing to live with him means that she doesn't want to be with him. It's just not time yet. So let's recap. These characters have proven themselves to one another repeatedly, displaying intelligence and bravery, self-sacrifice and understanding. They relate to one another and they have fun together amid the danger. They're affectionate and open, and they're basically just a young power couple before actually becoming a couple. If you want a strong pairing, you need to make them strong individual characters who are well-rounded, and you need to give them important connecting points. Give them shared experiences. Give them opportunities to learn, understand, and accept the parts of one another that may not be shared freely, and let them prove that the other has value to them, that they're important. Enola and Tewkesbury might not be an official couple, and they're only teenagers, but hot damn am I on board with this pair and what the future might hold for them. And now when Mycroft has his only good idea in the entire movie.
And I suspect he's rather keen on young Enola.
Then you should marry her. Maybe it'll tame them both.
Marriage wouldn't tame either of them. They would simply grow more powerful together. This movie is based on the first book in a series, and I wouldn't be upset in the least if Netflix decided to make all 5, and we got to follow this character as she grows into herself and becomes equally famous to her brother Sherlock. I would love to see both Enola and Tewkesbury changing the world in their own ways, her by breaking boundaries and saving lives, and him by progressing the world using the power of his birth, with them meeting up over the years until they're old enough to properly consider a relationship that's more permanent. I don't see Enola ever properly settling down, but I could definitely see her craving the security and understanding she gets with Tewkesbury that she might not find elsewhere. And we all know if she got married and she had children, she would be just as vivacious, and those children would learn everything that she and Tewkesbury know, and then they would just be unleashed upon the world as these unstoppable forces, and someone needs to make me this sequel. Anywho, thank you so much for joining me today if you got this far. I hope you enjoyed the new content style, and please do let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more like this. You can check out all of my books on my website if you like fantasy or romance. Links will be below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell to get notified because I'm not yet sure what my upload schedule is going to look like, and follow me on social media. Links will be below. I will see you all in the next video. Bye!